318 will be replied by the Honourable Prime Minister, time permitting. Honourable Bada.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. B296.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the House is fully aware that my government has been dealing with the drug scourge on various fronts. In fact, we have made several amendments to the Dangerous Drugs Act, inter alia, for better control of dangerous drugs and for the implementation of the recommendations of the Commission of Inquiry on Drug Trafficking. In fact, in the light of the recommendations made by the Commission of Inquiry on Drug Trafficking, in addition to the chemistry and biology units, a fully serviced and dedicated drugs unit was established at the Forensic Science Laboratory in September 2021. The drugs unit is endowed with a state-of-the-art equipment which is consistent with my government's strategy to invest in the right tools that enable the FSL to contribute substantially and significantly to the unrelentless fight of my government against drug trafficking. The new sampling procedures provided under the Dangerous Drugs Act, as subsequently amended, will enable to fast-track forensic analysis of drugs seized. Mr. Speaker, sir, Section 41(4) of the Dangerous Drugs Act stipulates that, and I quote, "A person shall be deemed to be a drug trafficker where the street value of the drugs, the subject matter of the offense, exceeds 1 million rupees or such other value as may be prescribed," unquote. Section 41(3) of the Act provides that where it is proven that, having regard to all the circumstances of the case, the person was a drug trafficker, he or she shall be sentenced to a fine not exceeding 2 million rupees together with penal servitude for a term not exceeding 60 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, when a person is arrested for drug trafficking, he or she is remanded to police cell and a provisional charge is lodged against him or her. Exhibits are sent to the FSL. The accused appears in court every 7 days. After 21 days of detention, he or she is remanded to jail if police objects to his or her release. Upon completion of the inquiry, the case file is forwarded to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions for advice. The time taken by police to complete inquiries into drug trafficking cases depends on the following factors: examination of exhibits at FSL, response to mutual legal assistance by foreign countries in cases where there are international ramifications, response to judge's order by service providers, financial institutions to provide itemized bills, bank statements, and other information required for the purpose of investigation, parallel financial investigations with other investigating authorities are carried out into such cases for establishing cases of money laundering, hence it is time-consuming. Statements that have to be recorded from many witnesses, and during the course of investigation, the accused parties may incriminate other suspects by providing only nicknames which need to be ascertained, and very often they are at large. And lawyers assisting suspects are at times not readily available for police investigation. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Acting Commissioner of Prisons that to date, 63 prisoners, including 28 foreign nationals, have been convicted for drug trafficking and are serving sentence of over 10 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Commissioner of Police that since 2015 to 2022, there have been 199 cases reported for drug trafficking. In this context, 401 persons have been arrested, 27 persons have been sentenced, 139 persons are awaiting trial, and inquiry is ongoing in respect of 236 persons. Furthermore, Since January to 22nd of April 2023, 10 cases of drug trafficking have been reported involving 12 persons. Police inquiry is ongoing. Mr. Speaker, sir, the resources invested by the police department in terms of enforcement to curb the problem of drug trafficking, as well as better collaboration with national, regional, and international authorities, have reinforced the network, which has had a positive impact on the amount of drug seizures since 2015. Indeed, the street value of drugs worth more than 14 billion rupees have been seized over the period January 2015 to date. As I have highlighted time and again, there is an upward trend in the number of drug seizures due to the determination of my government to combat the drug scourge and the inexorable tracking of drug traffickers by law enforcement agencies. Mr. Speaker, sir, alongside the idea of a caring government for victims, we will continue to be ruthless towards drug traffickers. The following measures are being taken by police in its zero-tolerance approach for the enforcement of the Dangerous Drugs Act. Regular targeted intelligence-based crackdown operations are being carried out around the island, particularly in affected areas. Optimum use of safe city cameras is being made to keep surveillance and track the movements of drug traffickers and drug peddlers. A risk-based approach has been adopted to prevent the entry of dangerous drugs in the country by beefing up security at the airport and port. The movements of pleasure craft are being closely monitored by the National Coast Guard and the Mauritius Tourism Authority and Mauritius Port Authority to prevent drug traffickers from using such means to bring illegal drugs in Mauritius. A striking team has been set up at the police headquarters for prompt response and intervention to public requests concerning illegal drug transactions. Tailor-made training, sophisticated equipment, and incentives are being provided to the personnel of anti-drug and smuggling unit officers to improve their operational capabilities in the fight against dangerous drugs. The Road Traffic Act has been amended and has made provision to prevent drivers, riders from driving under the influence of intoxicating substances. Financial parallel investigations are being carried out into drug dealing, trafficking cases in order to prosecute dealers, traffickers for money laundering. And to this end, the police are working in close collaboration with other agencies in order to be able for these people to forfeit the proceeds of such crime and unexplained wealth. ADSU has established informal contacts with friendly countries for sharing of intelligence on drug traffickers. The sea surveillance patrols are being carried out in the EEZ. Mauritius is a member of the SADC, SOPCO, AFRIPOL, and police officers are benefiting from training organized at regional level. 2 police officers from National Coast Guard are acting as liaison officer at the Regional Maritime Information Fusion Center in Seychelles and Madagascar for sharing of intelligence on maritime piracy and drug trafficking. The UNODC provides facilities in terms of training and equipment for enhancing the capacity building of police officers, particularly ADSU personnel, to effectively combat drugs. The NCG carries out maritime surveillance using No. 1 Squadron PBS ships and various craft located around the island. In addition, coastal areas and lagoons are also monitored by afloat patrols and beach patrols by NCG area personnel. Continuous surveillance is carried out by coastal surveillance radar stations around the island. The Maritime Air Squadron carries out aerial surveillance of the maritime areas. Information from aerial surveillance is passed to the National Coast Guard's Operation Room, which investigates illicit activities at sea by deploying suitable NCG ships and crafts. And the NCG conducts intelligence-based operations using the Maritime Intelligence Cell. The Maritime Intelligence Cell is close collaboration with other agencies, is generating actionable inputs for ships and crafts to carry out interception at sea. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am also informed that the Mauritius Revenue Authority and its Customs Department has put in place a drug interdiction program with a series of measures to prevent the smuggling of illicit drugs, including synthetic drugs, at the various points of entry. These measures include the following: use of 2 fast interceptor boats, 2 rigid hull interceptor boats, and 1 patrol boat for patrols along the coast and outside the harbor, vessel tracking system for gathering of information regarding vessels, real-time positioning, better targeting and scheduling of appropriate actions essential for enforcement, acquisition and use of high-tech equipment for the scanning of parcels, containers, luggage, and even people who are carrying suspicious luggage, and deployment of 18 sniffer dogs of the MRA K9 unit for detection of illicit drugs at the port, airport, parcel post, courier services, and container terminal. Mr. Speaker, sir, in addition to sensitization campaigns by the police and the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Ministry of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology conducts extensive prevention programs at the educational institutions through the Get Connected program. To enhance the drug prevention program, a community-based approach has also been initiated through the implementation of the Youth Empowerment Program Against Drugs since February 2021 by the Ministry of Health and Wellness in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Sports and Recreation, the police, National Drug Secretariat, and the NGO partners targeting different regions of the country. The NDS has also launched the Community Welfare Task Force in order to enlist the participation of community leaders and the civil society organizations in addressing the drug problem in their respective regions. The NDS also partners with the Citizen Support Unit in the live radio program Ensemble contre la drogue on MBC Cool FM. Mr. Speaker, sir, my office, in collaboration with the Indian Ocean Commission, is organizing a conference on substance abuse for countries of the Western Indian Ocean region from 26th to 28th April 2023 in order to come up with a common strategy covering intelligence sharing, supply reduction, harm reduction, as well as demand reduction to address the drug problem in the region. Thank you.
I have an important point of order. The Prime Minister has been misinformed, has misinformed the House, I presume, as to the number of cases of convictions you suggested since 2015. You said it was 155 minus 22 under money laundering section 5 of FIAMLA. But money laundering is not only section 5 of FIAMLA, it is also section 3, 4, and 5. So that must be... No, that information is important, Mr. Speaker.
Excuse me, this is important also. I am on my feet. You have to listen to me. Is it a point of order or are you explaining something?
It is a point of order. The Prime Minister has given information and has been, I'm being very kind, has been misinformed. So it is now up to him. At some later stage, I will wait for him to come with the actual information that Prime Minister has a responsibility to give accurate information to the House.
This is not a point of order. Excuse me. Prime Minister, did you finish with your...
Yes, I finished.
Honorable Buddha, there is no point of order.
Mr. Speaker, I have 3 supplementary questions, and I will focus on the prisons. In view of the fact that there is an intelligence squad within prisons, may I ask the Honorable Prime Minister whether he is aware that the drug barons within the prisons are corrupting officials and guards to introduce weapons, smartphones, and drugs within the prisons?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, there are, of course, a protocol for the prison officers in delivering to their responsibility in their duty. There are regular checks that are made. I am aware that those dangerous, especially those who have been convicted, so-called dangerous drug barons, they are under specific surveillance. And if the honourable member have a case, the honourable member is making a general statement to say that these drug barons have this and that. Yes, if they have, if you can provide me with specific information, of course, we will relate to the concerned authorities for them to look into those cases.
My homework, Mr. Speaker. My Honourable Prime Minister is aware that the prisons have become the control tower of drug trafficking involving the drug barons he mentioned, serving a sentence with gangs operating inside and outside. And the latest has been, last week, delivery of heroin by drones at the prison of Bobassin. So I'm asking the Prime Minister, who is aware of these things happening within the prisons.
Monsieur le Président, effectivement, je suis au courant qu'il y a eu tentative de livrer certains produits par des drones. Et d'ailleurs, dans 2 cas, if my memory serves me right, dans 2 cas, les drones ont été interceptés et les drones ont été saisis, et les produits aussi. Alors, if you have other cases, as I say, if you let me know about specific cases, but I mentioned I can have the information about the drones. I know there have been interception of drones.
My last question is about the seizure of assets of these drug barons. Since they have been there for a number of years, may I ask whether after the seizure of their assets, what has happened, whether there have been the forfeiture of those assets?
Well, this, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is a specific question. Well, I hope the honourable member will understand. He has put a question with regard to prisoners and those who are serving sentences over 10 years. Now, with regard to their assets, definitely I will find out. I don't have the information with me right now, but the honourable member must come with a specific question with regard to seizure of assets and what has been the outcome of those seizures, what has happened to those assets. I will certainly get the information and provide it to the House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. With regard to foreign prisoners who have been convicted for drug trafficking, can the Honourable Prime Minister state the provision in place for transfer of such detainees to their countries of origin?
Yeah. Mr. Speaker, sir, in line with Section 3 of the Transfer of Prisoners Act of 2001, the transfer of foreign convicted prisoners may be effected in the following ways. 1, between Mauritius and 54 other countries which are party to the Strasbourg Convention on transfer of sentenced persons by virtue of the Transfer of Prisoners Convention Regulations 2005. 2, between Mauritius and 22 other Commonwealth countries by virtue of the Transfer of Prisoners Commonwealth Countries Regulations 2002. And 3, by way of bilateral agreements with other countries and subsequent regulations that are made pursuant to Section 3 of the Transfer of Prisoners Act. And as at date, Mauritius has bilateral transfer agreements with the following countries, that is Republic of Guinea, Republic of Madagascar, Republic of India, Republic of Mozambique, Republic of Seychelles, and Republic of Uganda. On 25th of June 2021, following government approval, the relevant regulations were promulgated with effect from 1st August 2021 to provide for a foreign detainee to be eligible for transfer to his country of origin after having served 1/3 of their sentence in Mauritius instead of 2/3 previously. This is the information I can provide to the House.
Yes, please. Honorable Omia, you ask the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Honorable Prime Minister gave a very detailed reply as to steps and action taken by his government to protect our sea borders from illegal drug trafficking. He will surely know that skippers, rogue skippers, form a major link in that illegal business. Can I ask the Honorable Prime Minister whether he will ask the relevant authorities to have an intense scrutiny on those skippers who are given a license to venture outside the 12 nautical miles and subject also to an asset and declaration so that they can be earmarked as those having an illegal business. Thank you.
Yes, well, with regard to skippers, I take note of the observation of the Honourable Member. It is a fact that we have had quite a number of cases where people have tried to introduce illicit drugs to the island through that route, that is by sea, and especially using those small, fast boats. In fact, we have a case now where one boat has been seized by the authorities in Réunion Island, and well, I think two or three Mauritians have been arrested. So, but I'm not saying more than that. I'm just saying as a fact this has happened. So, well, I take note of the proposal of the Honourable Member about scrutinizing these, those who have had their license. It is, of course, according to law, what they can do, where they can move, how they can operate. But we will be definitely more vigilant. We are already, but we will do more in order to be able to see to it that anyone for that matter, not only those people, but anyone for that matter, does not go against the law.
The table has been advised that PQ B306, B307, B297, B303 have been withdrawn. Next question.
B298.
98. 297. 297, no? Okay. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Director General of Immigration that Mr. A.N. alias N.I.M. is not born on the records of the Passport and Immigration Office. It is therefore assumed that the Honourable Member is in fact referring to one Mr. A.N.A., a national of Côte d'Ivoire, age 23. According to the Director General of Immigration, Mr. A.N.A. has travelled to Mauritius on 2 occasions in 2022. Mr. Speaker, sir, according to records at the Passport and Immigration Office, Mr. A.N.A. came to Mauritius for the first time on Wednesday, 16th of March 2022 from Turkey, and declared being on holiday for a period of 30 days. As he fulfilled all immigration requirements, he was allowed to stay in the country for a period indicated by him. He subsequently left the country on Friday, 15th of April 2022. He traveled to Mauritius anew on Sunday, 26th of June 2022 from Nairobi, and declared being on holiday for a period of 30 days. As he satisfied all immigration requirements, he was again allowed to stay in Mauritius for the period indicated by him. Mr. Speaker, sir, on Friday, 22nd of July 2022, Mr. A.N.A. submitted an application for the extension of his stay until Thursday, 25th August 2022. As he fulfilled the requirements of Regulation 25(5) of the Passports Regulations 1969, his application was granted. Following extension of his stay, Mr. A.N.A. traveled to Rodrigues on Sunday, 24th of July 2022, and returned to Mauritius on Wednesday, 27th of July 2022. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am also informed by the Director General of Immigration that following subsequent applications for extension, his stay was extended for a second time on Tuesday, 23rd August 2022 until Friday, 23rd of September 2022, and for a third time on Tuesday, 13th of September 2022 until Wednesday, 5th of October 2022. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am further informed by the Director General of Immigration that Mr. A.N.A. left the country on Wednesday, 5th October 2022. Mr. Speaker, sir, in regard to Part B of the question, I am informed that VIP lounge access facilities were not extended to him during any of his visits to Mauritius. Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that access to the VIP lounge is granted to an established category of persons. These persons are required to follow all procedures at the airport, both on arrival and departure, such as check-in, immigration formalities, and security checks, as is the case for all other passengers traveling through the normal channel.
Can I know from the Honourable Prime Minister who invited Mr. A.N.A., and is it true that he paid a visit to the police post of Rivière-Noire? Can we know the purpose of his visit? And if the responsible officer, police officer at that post was transferred after his visit?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, I do not know who has invited Mr. A.N.A., and I am not aware whether he has called at the Rivière-Noire police station.
Can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister, being given that A.N.A. is very close to Mr. Franklin, to Mr. F, has he been contacted by the ICAC in the Franklin affairs?
Well, I am not aware of the relationship of Mr. A.N.A. You are saying that he is close. Is he involved in any offense that he might have committed? If you can tell me. When you say you are close to somebody, but so many people meet so many other people. Now, you are saying that because, I don't know whether he's close first of all, but for me what is important, is there a case? Is there an act? Is there anything that Mr. A.N.A. has done in Mauritius which would justify for an inquiry to be conducted? If you can tell me, then I can answer.
Time over.
The table has been advised that PQ B342 will be replied by the Honourable Minister of National Infrastructure and Community Development. PQ B345 and B374 will be replied by the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister. PQ B390 will be replied by the Honourable Minister of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change. MP Mian?
Yes, B310.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm informed by the Municipal Council of Port Louis that the lower section of the central market, which comprises the fish, meat, and the poultry section, are cleaned on a daily basis by the manual grade workers posted thereat. The waste generated on a daily basis are collected and disposed of into a trailer and carted away accordingly. I'm further informed that a team of health inspectors is permanently posted at the central market. Frequent inspections are also carried out on a daily basis by the health inspectors to ensure that the premises are maintained in a satisfactory state of cleanliness, despite the fact that the premise is very old. Furthermore, the drains found thereat are being washed daily with water and detergent of closures of the market to ensure that same are kept in a clean and hygienic state. Pest control are presently being carried out on a weekly basis by the contractor, namely eradicators. With regard to part B of the question, I'm informed by the Municipal Council of Port Louis that it had sought the clearance of the National Heritage Fund for the upgrading of the fish, meat and poultry section of the central market, as the latter is listed as a national monument and is also governed by the National Heritage Fund Act. Moreover, given that the central market is situated in the buffer zone of the Apravasigat World Heritage Property, the Ministry of Arts and Cultural Heritage has enlisted the service of Eco-Africa Environment Consultant Private Limited for the preparation of an overarching heritage impact assessment and visual impact assessment report with regard to the development in the buffer zone. The consultant has already submitted the HIA-NVIA report to the Ministry of Arts and Cultural Heritage, and a technical team would be sent soon to UNESCO to discuss the recommendation.
Mr. Speaker, I have 3 supplementary questions. I will ask one by one with your permission.
I will allow only 2.
Why what?
Of the number of questions on board. Please.
I hope it will be applied to everyone in this House.
Of course, definitely.
Mr. Speaker, it's a matter of regret that year after year I have to put a PQ on this matter because of the unhygienic condition of the Bazar Central, Bazar Poli, as we call it. The first question I have asked in relation to this matter dates back to July 2016, and since then, every year, I have been asking questions on this matter. And I must say that I am a bit surprised by the answer given by the Honourable Minister, because recently there has been a reportage, an article by Défi Quotidien, which dates back to 18th of April this year. An article of 2 pages with photos on it. It's accessible to everyone, whereby I will quote quickly, Mr. Speaker.
No, you're not going to quote on another.
No, I will not quote extensively, just two lines.
No. Put your question.
It's coming, but I have to quote from what has been said publicly in this paper.
You told me you had 3 supplementary. I'm allowing the first one. Up to now, you haven't asked your supplementary question. The standing orders provide the way to put supplementary question is clarification, elucidation. So
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the standing order also provides that I introduce my supplementary question. I've been in this House since 2010, and I know my standing.
I'm not going to discuss with you. I'm applying the standing orders, and you know fully well what the standing orders say. Put your question directly.
I can introduce the matter of my question. It's in the standing order, and I maintain it. Mr. Speaker, is the Honourable Minister aware that les inspecteurs sanitaires et les inspecteurs de la municipalité ne font pas leur travail convenablement, comme c'est répertorié dans l'article. Parce que les bouchers...
No, excuse me. Supplementary question. In supplementary question, it's not that I'm teaching you, but you should have been teaching me instead. You should not introduce new subject in your supplementary question. Anyway, you put your question directly.
No. Anyway, I don't agree with your interpretation because it's the same subject I'm talking about.
But there is only one chair. This is what you have to agree.
Yeah, but your interpretation is wrong. There can be only one chair. Your interpretation is wrong.
The interpretation of the chair is the final interpretation.
But it's
You're
wrong.
not going to invent the wheel or invent parliament.
Anyway. Mr. Speaker, my question to the Honourable Minister is that the Bazar Central is in an unhygienic condition. It's in the press, everybody knows it. So what action the Honourable Minister proposes to take? Because in his answer he stated that the Council is looking for a clearance from the UNESCO. This has been announced since 2018. It's been 5 years now that since has been announced in the House. So, will the Honourable Minister agree with me that in relation to the renovation...
You ask for clarification and elucidation. One question, give him time to answer. You put the second question. It's like ABCD. Please, answer the question.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Member is well aware that the central market is 180 years old. I repeat, 180 years old. And obviously, a building like that, you're going to have a lot of problems. This building, with time, has been severely affected. It is situated near the sea. You have a lot of seawater that seeps through underground to reach even Royal Road. So, it has been affected for a long time. And what we did, the fact that it is not national, it is listed in the National Heritage, and it is found in the buffer zone of the Upper Fasigat, we had to get the permission of the UNESCO before we do anything. This government, we have been working on it, yes, since April 2018, but we could not just go and do the work now. We have to get the okay from UNESCO. Now, before we get the all right from UNESCO, we had to do an HIA and VIA, a heritage impact assessment and a visual impact assessment. We contacted a consultant to do that. They are from overseas. Took a bit of time to get them. When we got them in 2020, it was in COVID, during the COVID time. They could not come to Mauritius. They were from South Africa as a consultant. They could not come to Mauritius. So they got some, by the time they come to Mauritius, kind of a couple of years later, they had 1 or 2 consultants, local consultants working here. So that's why it took a lot of time. Finally, the report was ready, and we got the report only a couple of months ago. And yes, I repeat that, the final report, a couple of months ago, from the consultant. And you have already sent it to UNESCO. So you're saying we are not doing anything?
Mr. Speaker, it's not only the Bazar Central who is situated in the Upper Fasigat section. Recently, there has been the metro station which was extended. This is not found up to La Royale. It's situated on the sea, chez la rade de Port-Louis. How come that we have been able to build the metro and you are not even been able to renovate the Bazar Central?
Because you don't know.
There are so many buildings.
The Honourable Member...
Let the Minister reply.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Member is not aware where the buffer zone ends. The metro is outside the buffer zone of the Fasigat.
Order. Order.
Mon allé mon guetter.
Order.
Mon faire moi faire visite.
Order,
Pas toi qui
minister.
montre-moi. Mon kon bazar plate plus qui toi.
Vice
C'est pas toi
Prime
qui
Minister
montre-moi.
and Honorable Member. Vice Prime Minister. I am on my feet. I am on my feet. PQB 305 has been withdrawn. Next question.
B 311.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in my reply to PQB 27 during the sitting of the National Assembly on the 28th of March of this year, I informed the House that baby S was still admitted to the hospital in view of her needs for targeted treatment and medical intervention in order to support her specific health concerns. I am informed that baby S, since her admission to hospital, has been benefiting from a one-to-one support on a daily basis from caregivers of the National Children's Council, so that we can ensure that the child is not alienated to stimulation from parental figures. Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry has received a detailed report on the medical status of the child as well as advice on her prise en charge. Officers of my ministry are working to ensure that the discharge of baby S takes place smoothly. Once she is discharged from hospital, baby S will be temporarily taken care of by a residential care institution that looks after children of that age group. And following her discharge, a matching exercise with foster parents will be carried out. And if the matching exercise is a successful one, the child will be placed in foster care. Thank you.
Monsieur le Président, je suis en présence d'un rapport officiel du ministère de la Santé.
Also elucidation. You know the meaning of supplementary question. So put your question, ask for clarification, ask for elucidation from the answer of the minister. Don't invent the wheel.
Monsieur le Président, je suis en présence d'un document officiel, un rapport officiel du ministère de la Santé concernant le BBS.
Tender the document.
Yes.
Let us check the document first.
OK. Le document n'est pas fabriqué. Je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président. Merci beaucoup.
This is a rule. This is a rule. I appreciate honourable member having brought an official document. All this applies to all honourable members. Bring official document, no private document.
I thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. Je suis donc en présence d'un rapport officiel de la santé datant du 27 mars qui contredit les propos de la ministre et confirme que le BBS est en bonne santé et attend un placement dans un shelter. La ministre peut-elle indiquer à la Chambre pour quelle raison ce bébé qui est en bonne et parfaite santé ne peut pas quitter l'hôpital? Est-ce que son ministère a refusé de reprendre le nourrisson? Merci.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I note with a lot of concern that such a confidential document happens to land in the possession of the member of the opposition. Nevertheless...
Order. Let's listen to the reply.
Mr. Speaker, sir, in my reply, I have never indicated that that baby is not in good health. The baby was born with some serious congenital defects that require specific and targeted medical attention, which means even when she will be discharged and in the care of whether it is an RCI or a foster care family, will will require frequent visits to the hospital to obtain such targeted treatment. Therefore, it is very misleading to say, for Dr. Anctil to say that the baby is in perfect health.
Next question.
J'ai pas. Ouais, ouais. Enfin.
No. In these circumstances, you are a seasoned politician. Raise a point of order. Why don't you do that? No, he just came back. He just came back. I can't do that. I welcome him.
Monsieur le Président, alors que la Children's Court n'a pas été informée que BBS n'est plus sous la responsabilité de la National Children's Council, la ministre peut-elle nous expliquer comment des employés d'un autre shelter, je fais référence au shelter La Cigogne, situé à Floréal, comment des officiers d'un autre shelter ont veillé sur ce nourrisson à l'hôpital SSR à 2 reprises, sachant qu'ils ne sont pas des employés de la NCC. Merci.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I refer the honourable member to the answer I provided to the main question, whereby I did say that once the baby will be discharged, she will be placed temporarily in a dedicated residential care institution in order for the baby to familiarize herself, because she is actually an infant. In order for the infant to familiarize herself with the said caregivers of the institution where she will be temporarily placed, there has been arrangements made under the guidance of the Ministry of Health and the National Children's Council to have the caregivers of that SCI attend to the baby so that they can have some kind of bonding with the minor. Thank you.
Next question, Honorable Dulab.
Thank you. B312.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to thank the honourable member for this question. We are all aware of the important role played by youth centres in the social, physical and psychological development and empowerment of our young people since the construction of the very first youth centre as far back as in 1989 in Souillac. This is why, as soon as I assumed office as minister in 2017, I decided as a matter of priority to visit all the youth centres around the island. The objectives of these site visits were as follows. 1, to take cognizance of the status of the ministry's infrastructures and to see how to make optimum use thereof. 2, to take stock of the activities, programs being proposed to our young citizens and what improvements can be brought thereto. And 3, to meet youth leaders, force vive, and representatives of youth organizations to listen to their proposals and to seek their collaboration for the benefit of the youth. The site visits reveal that our youth centers have served their purpose for nearly 3 decades. However, they were no more relevant to the aspirations of our younger generation of today. The number of youth attending the youth centers has considerably decreased. There was, therefore, an urgent need to take action so as to attract our youth to the centers. However, this would require a review of the facilities being offered at youth centers and how they operate. Thus, a project for the revamping of youth centers was proposed. Accordingly, an amount of 165 million spanning over 3 consecutive financial years was announced in the budget speech 2021-2022 to transform our existing youth centers into modern youth hubs. This clearly denotes the commitment of government to invest in the empowerment of our youth. The National Youth Council, a parastatal body operating under the aegis of my ministry, was entrusted with the responsibility to revamp the youth centers. In order to enable the implementation of this project so as to match the needs of our young people, 4 main areas were identified under the revamping project, namely 1. Facilities and infrastructure, 2. Programs and activities being offered, 3. Mode and time of operation of the youth hubs, and 4. Human resource requirements. Mr. Speaker, sir, with regard to where matters stand with respect to the revamping of the Maybird Youth Center, I'm informed by the National Youth Council that renovation works in the building have been completed. Moreover, works are still ongoing in respect to the adjoining of the sports complex. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, the Minister, in his reply, just mentioned that works are still ongoing in adjoining sports facilities around. Can we have more details about these adjoining sports facilities?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, sir. At the Youth Center of Maybird, we have a outdoor sports complex where mini football can be played, handball, basketball, and volleyball also. So there is actually a contractor working on this revamping of this sports complex, which is just beside the Youth Center of Maybird.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So can we have from the Minister the final completion date of the Maybird Youth Hub?
Monsieur le Président, donc comme je l'ai dit, nous allons terminer le complexe qui se trouve à l'extérieur et je crois comprendre que nous sommes arrivés à environ... non, je n'ai pas avec moi. Cependant, il nous reste à acheter les nouveaux meubles pour mettre à la disposition du staff et de toutes les personnes concernées. Et donc, cela va nous prendre encore quelques temps. Malheureusement, je ne pourrai donner de date spécifique en ce qu'il s'agit de quand les travaux à Maïbo seraient complétés.
The table has been advised that the following queues have been withdrawn. B383, B341, B367, B347, B389, B347, the first one of B345, B389, B347, B378, B393. Honourable members, I'll suspend the sitting for 1.5 hours.